In the years leading up to the war, Italy had sided with Germany and Austria-Hungary on the side of the Triple Alliance. Italy waited to see how the war progressed and came into the war on the side of the Triple Entente: Britain, France, and Russia. To start with, Mussolini was against the war. By October 1914, he had changed his mind and referred to the war as a great drama. Mussolini was kicked out of the Socialist Party, but many young socialists that agreed with Mussolini's views also left with him. They welcomed the news of April 26, 1915, the entry of Italy into the war. In 1915, Italy had signed the Secret Treaty of London. In this treaty, Britain had offered Italy large sections of territory in the Adriatic Sea region: Trentino, the southern of Tyrol, Dalmatia coastline, and Trieste with the surrounding district. Even more importantly, Italy was promised a share in the distribution of German colonies. This offer was one too tempting to refuse. Italy could not tell the world their reason for entering the war on the side of the Allies was based purely on the promise of land. Instead, what they announced was this. Until 1917, the Italian part in the war consisted mainly of a series of unsuccessful attempts to break through the strong defensive positions which Austrians held in the Alps. In October 1917 came the disaster of Caporetto. In these series of battles, the Italians had to fight the entire Austrian army as well as 7 divisions of German troops. Caporetto brought shame and humiliation to Italy. After the United States entered the war on the side of the Allies in 1917, Germany wanted to end the war before the full weight of the United States Army could be felt. The Italian Bossoli cabinet fell and was replaced by a government formed by Vittorio Orlando. On November 4, 1918, Austria signed an armistice at Villa Giusti near Padua. Within a week, the Allies initiated a major attack along the French front that terminated in the total victory of the Allies. By 1918, the country was hit by very high inflation and unemployment was high. Italy got very little at Versailles. The Italian people believed that their leaders had been humiliated as the Big Three: Wilson of America, Lloyd George of Britain, and Clemenceau of France all but ignored the Italian delegation, who were seen as secondary figures at Versailles. This proved further humiliation for the Italian government. The Italians did not get what they had felt was promised at the Treaty of London, and this caused resentment, especially considering the great losses Italy endured fighting for the Allies. The government came over as weak and lacking pride in Italy. For nationalists, the failure of the Italian government to stand up to the Big Three was unforgivable. At the peace conference in Paris on January 18, 1919, the Italians felt that they had made a war effort comparable to that of France and Britain, and when they found themselves treated as inferiors, their disillusionment was great. They found too often that the Italo-Austrian front was spoken of as a secondary front. The Italians believed that their campaign of October 1918 had been the decisive factor in the winning of the war. They were victors looking for prizes, and in particular the promises made of the secret Treaty of London. France, Britain, and the United States all opposed the expanded Italian claims. On April 24th, Prime Minister Orlando left the conference in protest. Italy greeted his decision with enthusiasm, but became disillusioned when, a week later, Orlando returned to Paris without having obtained any concessions in advance. On June 2, 1919, the Treaty of Saint-Germain fixed the peace terms with Austria, which, in accordance with the provisions of the Treaty of London, established the frontiers of Italy to the Brenner Pass. Italy thus obtained the Trentino with the entire valley of the Adige River, Trieste, and Istria. However, the treaty did not give Italy the Adriatic islands, which had been promised in the Treaty of London, nor did it define the territorial boundaries between Italy and the new state of Yugoslavia. In conclusion, Italy had lost a great deal in the 3 years they had fought in the war, and were not treated as well as they should have been at the Treaty of Versailles nor at the peace conference. They were not asking for much, just what was promised to them before they entered the war, and they felt deserving considering the amount of money spent and the number of lives changed and lost.